Good morning and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be taking a look at another project that I've been holding on to for a while now. This one namely being a conversion of the LEGO modular police station build from 2021. Now this is a build set in the 1920s that I wasn't particularly happy with the exterior and certainly not the interior of, and while I absolutely overall style, we committed a little bit of a change to something else from the 1920s, or at least set in it deliberately. That is the LEGO Adventures and LEGO Orient Expedition line of sets, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. My conversion to the full interior and exterior to an extent, as well as a storyline and figures for a build of this nature. It's a really cool conversion I'm really pleased with, that I'm really excited to share with you guys, and let me get into explaining the concept. First, let's talk about the overall premise. When first thinking about this design, it was more so a conversion of the interior rather than the exterior, hence why it looks largely the same. You'll notice that the interior, as I mentioned, was sort of themed around the adventurer's idea, and what would they have anything to do with a cityscape? Well, the idea that came to me, that as controversial as it might be, the idea of a converted reform club to an adventurous style club is potentially the most sensible solution. If not aware, this is a common theme that was seen across Victorian London, where lots of different societies formed for various different activities such as exploration and National Geographic. Big buildings with dedicated club spaces for its members and also lots of rooms to store artifacts and so on. This is perfect for the adventurous team, especially given the London-based 1920s nature of their expeditions. Now, of course, this does come with its own problems, because reform clubs are not exactly known for their inclusivity, along with other problems with their institution, nor does the questionable archaeological practices of Victorian Britain particularly encompass modern values that we'd really like to portray in a set like this. So what we're going to instead do is, well, keep the same kind of club nature, but one, make it a little bit more of a friendly place in line with what you'd expect from a LEGO set, but also just to make it a more positive environment where we are treasuring our created artifacts instead of just stealing them. But without further ado, let's open up our build, firstly showing you from the left and the right. As you can see, externally very similar, because that was the part of the model I liked. A quick look around the back, we'll be back later, and then we can open up our first floor and take a look inside. Now, I've kept the main structural layout, and you'll see that lots of things are similar. Starting off with what was once the donut shop for the police station, this is now like a high-end chocolatier. You can see that I've kept the awning colour the same, but I've replaced the donuts outside the front door with a white chocolate bar sign, adding a nice spot of colour. On the inside, you can see various details such as chocolate bars in the front window in a glass piece, very similar to a technique done in Ninjago City, a bill on the table, as well as some chocolate-shaped animals. The bar, the counter itself actually has chocolate bars in it in order to just add a little bit more theming. The floor is the same original colours, again another detail that I really liked from the original. And then on the back wall we still have the display. Probably shouldn't have some lights that close to the chocolate, but these are more your quality ones. You can see the bars of white, milk and dark along the back, a chocolate pie which would be using the donut piece from the initial set, and then obviously with a stud in top to represent like the cream on the top, two more wrapped chocolate bars, and then some more delicatessen treats. Over on the far wall you've got some boxed ones, some for Valentine's Day, some with holes in the middle to see it, and then some quirkily shaped ones as well, finishing up this wall and adding a complete different interior to the old donut store. Now we're going to go through the front door, where you can notice that once again I've kept the old style, because that was the style of these big old club buildings. But you go up the steps through some black, now double doors that are completely solid, and obviously isn't labelled with police, as again I did really love the exterior. And you will see the ground floor, which is definitely more of a lobby and entrance room to the main build. Obviously the majority of the space here is taken up by the giant red carpeted staircase, however we have some details on the left and right to take a look at. There on the stairs you can see that there are some studs for some posing of figures, and it's using a similar design to the police station, but obviously expanded upon in order to make this staircase work. Very regal, very formal for a large club building, despite the small space. We also notice a couple of details and trophies on the shelves, such as this representation of the golden casket, which packaged as an extra with certain adventurous sets. Nice little Easter egg to the theme as a whole here. Next to it is a bust which is supposed to represent Johnny Thunder, and just like a statue to his accomplishments in the field. And then over on the far left you'll see Atchew's helmet on the wall as well, another artifact that they have recovered from their trips. On the desk is a trophy for an award that was won, maybe best club, I don't know, or something like that, and this is sort of the reception desk, and you can see there is a gate that opens here as they can check your membership when you come in the door. On the other side we have a globe from the Pirates of the Caribbean line representing the world that needs to be explored. You have a dinosaur statue or fossilised dinosaur from the Dino Island line, and then the Maharaja's tapestry from Orient Expedition hanging on the wall. This is obviously a build. As a building, it's a great opportunity to highlight some of the nicer artifact pieces from across Johnny Thunder's many years of heritage. To the left side of the stairs, there's another small desk. This is the sort of coat room. This is where you would hang off your coats and capes in order to be stored while you use the club. Think of like a cloakroom really, but this time it's operated by the butler of the establishment. We'll take a look at all the figures later. At the top of the stairs we have an ornament facing outwards, and this is one of the Atlantis keys from the Atlantis theme, another artifact that one of the club members has brought back over the years. On the front corner, alongside that dino statue, we also have a forbidden power shield from Nexo, specifically referencing the ones that would bring about the Stone Colossus of Ultimate Destruction. Clearly some of these adventurers have saved the world before. And here's a look at that cloakroom. You can see using the slot nature of the underside of the stairs in order to create a rack for a cape on the left, a hook for an umbrella in the middle, and then a place to put your hats, such as bowler hats, on the left. You also see a small staircase which allows people like the butler to stand up near the desk and actually be visible over the top. The last room was the old prison, and now this has been converted into a treasure room, or museum case I should really say. Firstly, we have the golden shield, helmet and sword from the Orient Expedition line, the three treasures that they collected across their journey in order to awaken the golden dragon itself. You've also got the helmet that the original guard wore, which is a reference both to that Dragon Fortress set, but potentially also a nod to Basil the Batlord. You've also got a golden key, which is the key that they would have given to this stone statue here in order to gain access to the golden dragon. You've got a silver knife from the Aquanauts, but also the Achu used in ceremonies, and then two disc pieces, one of which is the Maharaja's shield from the Scorpion Palace set, and then the other helmet is from the Chinese warriors from the Dragon Fortress. Again, more trinkets that they've collected over the years. On the other side in the corner you've got a small ornate bookcase where not only is there a sarcophagus on one wall, but we also have the Riku ruby and a pot of coins, both as seen as in the ancient Egypt line. There's also a stud at the top for Achu's sun disk, not pictured here. Then around the back we've got a couple more details, a couple of bins for the various different establishments. Over on the right we can see they've had some rocks that they've clearly pulled out of an excavation, as well as some headphones and tools and equipment that you might need if you're using power tools or magnifying glasses, or potentially even a metal detector. Over in the other bins we have some spoons, and I wonder why they've been discarded, because someone's digging a tunnel. Yes, just like even in the original model where someone was digging out of the prison cell, this time someone's trying to dig in and steal all the valuables from that display room. On the outside, the newsstand has been converted to a currency exchange. If we've got people going off on an adventure, something that Lego City was lacking, and that is a currency exchange. You can see this is decorated with the 5p coins, and you'd see all the rates for different currencies to exchange between on the boards at the side. Nice reuse of space. The secondary upstairs have not really changed on the exterior. I still kept the soap and stud sign because I really love that advert, as well as the vines climbing up the wall. The roofs have seen some massive change, but for now let's jump into the second floor. Well, you can see around the back, one additional modification has been the addition of a locked door and changing it to metal, because you don't want people just climbing in unless they have the keys. As you can see, if you come up the stairs you have an option to exit on either the left or the right, but we have a bit of display on the open mezzanine wall, and that is sort of aeroplane parts. Like you might see some people decorate sheds with aeroplane parts, these are the iconic elements from Johnny Thunder's plane from the Egypt lineup, and these have obviously been shot down and then hung up on the wall to represent the heritage here in the club. Of course, that's not it. We've got some vases around as you go into the bar and main club area. You can see we have a bar with a variety of different glasses hanging from beneath, some teacups up top, a teapot and a small sink, as well as plenty of area for the barkeep. Over here we have a large bookshelf documenting all the adventures, all the documents and all of the books that they might need if they're planning any trips, or that were written by members of the club, with a couple more details scattered around, such as the record player from the original police station set, so they can have some music. We have Achu's staff, Pharaoh Hotep's staff, and then in the middle we have a mini figurehead which is supposed to reference the diver's helmet, sort of quintessentially retro item to have on this shelf. Over in the main seating area takes up most of the mezzanine. It's full of green tables, either for drinks or for card games. You can imagine some people playing some blackjack here. You've also got a range of blue chairs surrounding all tables on all sides, seating up to 8 people. And of course, not to be outdone, there's still some space on the walls around this area, such as a golden railing to hide this giant vinyl element from the Dragon Fortress, again recovered from the Orient Expedition. And then on the wall we have King Kahuka's mask and one of the Skull Twins masks from Space Police. There's some weird time shenanigans going on in these adventures. Johnny Thunder really does get everywhere. Over in the far corner you've got the stairway up to the absolute attic of the building, which is definitely supposed to be sort of less formal now. This is sort of going into the workspaces, where upstairs is Johnny Thunder's offices, so this staircase is a little more ramshackle, a little more what you'd expect from a large Victorian terraced house. So almost what would have been originally like servant quarters, obviously not in this build anymore. Over in the corner, we have a couple more artifacts. You can see that their office space is sort of spilling into the fancier area, which is probably not good for their business, but also good for these artifacts. At the top, we have a golden dingus from the top of the Yeti Temple in Everest. We have a parrot that appeared all across the Adventurous Egypt set, and then a transclear figure stud for a Pharaoh's headdress from Pharaoh's Quest. Once again, though, let's go up those stairs into the work and attic space, where as you immediately come up the stairs in the green extension, it's a nice tight space with some more display cases, all stacked high in this loft space. We have Baron von Baron's epaulets, which he must have stolen from him on one of their cross encounters. We have a moonstone from Monster Fighters, stopping that from ever being completed. Specifically, this is the swamp creature one, and then a small flag from the Dragon Fortress as well. But that's not all, as over on the other side we have the rockets from the Dragon Fortress, as well as 3 gems in a case representing the gems you find all across your expedition. Here's an example one, specifically the one talking about the ones guarded by the 3 guardians, Junshi, the Yeti, and Taigura. Here is the main office space. It's a cramped office space designed to house both Dr. Kilroy, Dr. Gale Storm, and Johnny Thunder at the same time, so there has to be a lot squeezed into this small space. Firstly, starting with Gale Storm's desk, you can see she has a board where she not only had a sort of evidence board like in the police station, but is also holding the 3 photos that she's taken across Johnny's main adventures, such as in Dino Island, Egypt, and in the jungle. This would be using the original evidence board build, but just with these new prints. You'll also might have noticed on her desk she actually has the typewriter build because she is the journalist of the 3. Her video camera was also in the corner. This is Dr. Kilroy's section, and you firstly notice that on the side you see statuettes or like carvings of Junshi and Taigura. Now either these are originals that they've brought back, but really it's just an Easter egg to represent those, something that he's studying clearly in preparation for their next expedition. Over on the desk to its right, you'll see 2 skeleton heads, as well as the 4 maps on the wall. That's what those tan tiles are. They would obviously be prints. As for those skeleton heads, those are supposed to be a reference to the original Clutch Powers movie, where they're most commonly seen, one with a helmet, one without, and both eating popcorn from a saucepan. That saucepan has also been recovered from this burial site and is under the table right now. We also have the sort of MacGuffin from Temple of Doom, the stone ambery eyes that they're trying to recover from the temple. One of those is on the desk underneath a microscope. Around the corner you've got some sort of special machine. The Ring of the Power is loitering under a table. You've got a rock, and then the carving of the Yeti for our 3rd sculpture here in this build. Over onto the beginning of Johnny's desk, this is also by the door. You've got some filing cabinets built with a unique technique of sticking bucket handles in the underside of bricks. One of the drawers is a little bit out as if it's being used, and there's also some files on the top which they have brought out from their drawers. On the desk there's a weird looking stud, and this is actually for Achu's cape, so silly they are doing some restoration on that, and they're draping it all over the floor while they study it, take photos of it, or maybe stitch it up. You've also got a telephone in the corner there. We'll take a better look at that from this angle. You've also got a couple more items on the desk, such as a coffee from Cafe Corner, one of the other modulars, always go to reference on another modular in a modular building set, a golden dragon sculpture from nowhere in particular, and a 1x4 tile which is the Danger of Death apparent from the ancient Egypt line, which Johnny is studying with his magnifying glass. I mentioned the telephone in the corner though, and you may notice a wire coming out the back, and that is because there's some suspicious activity going on here. Not only are they trying to steal the artifacts, but they've also got a telephone wiretap which is disguised as a flag on the rooftops, and they're looking out for something that Johnny's up to. I wonder if we'll work out what that is later on. In a crate, they've brought back a new artifact from their Mayan expedition. This is a almost replica of this one from 5906. This is Achu's statue, and this is here as something that they are clearly preparing to restore, catalogue, and then send off to a museum. Over on the back wall, we've got some various swords from his adventure, such as a scimitar from Egypt's Pharaoh's Quest, a scimitar from the Maharaja's Scorpion Palace, and then a whip as a subtle nod to Indiana Jones. One last shelf in the corner has the helmet of the Guardian from Atlantis, and then at the bottom is a white tile meant to represent the cubit from Mixels, as I said, drawing in references from all kinds of themes here. Over at the top, you may have noticed this weird branch, and why is this hanging here? Well, this is as a little play area for Johnny's pet chameleon, and you could obviously sit that up here on any of the studs looking out of the various different windows. A nice little addition for the pet that I'm going to view as canon, that appeared in his Series 19 approach of the remastered one. Out onto the roof, you can see there's a ladder leading up to the main roof here. However, there's a couple of details to look at, like a water tower, some bags and some crates, maybe more artifacts being delivered, but there's also some more suspicious activity, such as these toolboxes, a crowbar, and then some goggles spying on everybody. Up to the roof, there's a gate locking off and making it a little bit more secure, as this is sort of an excavation area. It's very messy up here and there's lots going on, but there's some various tools by the gate. It's for excavation, including this pile of rubble which has been recovered from Egypt, which has some hieroglyphs on it, and those are being excavated and restored. Under this covered section, we have some very volatile crystals from rock raiders, and in the box at the back, mixing more themes in still, we have a power miners rock monster as well, all being stored. They don't know what they're for yet. There's a metal detector on the wall, and moving over to the other area, you've got a paintbrush for excavation, a broom for sweeping up, as well as some other tools like a shovel and a pickaxe, and another grey excavation site that's going on, which is this mural piece here from the jungle theme of Adventurers, and this one's also been excavated and restored for a museum. Over on the far left, we have an arch from the Scorpion Palace. Don't know why they have this, it's just here, it looks pretty. And then over in the final corner, we have some crates of some artifacts which have just been brought back, namely the R2-D2 print from the 2010 Indiana Jones set, a 2x4 tile with some hieroglyphs on it, and in the back left crate would have been an Anubis head from Pharaoh's Quest, another artifact that they've discovered and is still being stored in the overflow storage on the roof. However, we're not quite done yet, because as I mentioned, there's a story here, so let's take a look at the figures that would be included in this remodel. Firstly, we have Johnny Thunder. Is just the same design from his Series 19 appearance in 2019, here with his pet chameleon and magnifying glass, and then a new character that which you won't recognise, and this is the young version of Jake Raines in Pharaoh's Quest. It's hinted at in various different sources that Jake Raines is related to Johnny Thunder in some way, and I like to imagine that he was invited to the club by his uncle one day, and this is how he became interested in archaeology and why he would eventually go off to join Pharaoh's Quest expedition. So here's a young version of him here with mid-legs and the tousled J hair to be inspired. Here, of course, is the inspiration for Johnny Thunder, based off his original design, except for we're using a newer one from 2019. And here is what Jake Raines will turn into when he grows up. Of course, those aren't the only important members of Johnny's team. We have Dr. Kilroy and Dr. Gale Storm here as well, featuring upgraded outfits from their originals. They've never been remade in physical forms. I'm really hoping for an updated Adventurers reboot one day, and we've just added some various details to them. Starting with Dr. Charles Lightning, as he's known in some parts of the world, we have the grey beard, which is slightly less white because we're slightly earlier in the timeline. He's still got his hat as well as his glasses on, and his shirt has just been upgraded with some fine swirl detailing. Imagine it more like a silk shirt. He's got his suspenders on, some dual moulded legs with some brown boots at the bottom, and some rolled up sleeves for the hot weather. Gale Storm has been modified slightly. While she's not wearing her helmet, unlike Kilroy, she has got a new wavy hairpiece, a updated facial expression, as well as a more detailed cardigan and torso print for more indoor use, and then once again some dual moulded legs with some boots over her red trousers. I'd really love to see these figures updated one day. Next up, we also have some new characters. We have some staff for the Adventurers Club. We have a barkeeper on the left. He's a new employee that they haven't really done much of a background check on. He's wearing a formal uniform in tan with an Adventures Club logo on it, along with a blue tie and some dark grey legs. He's the comb over hairpiece, and he's looking fancy with a little bit of stubble. We've got an actual butler for the entire building, who would be the one taking your coats and sort of supporting the building while the team was away. He was obviously wearing a formal thing. He's got a tape measure around his neck, and he's got the grey hair with a very fancy expression, looking very British if I do say so myself. He's also got a scar above his ear. Wonder where he got that or what his interesting past is. However, as I mentioned though, our newly employed barkeep isn't to be trusted, as he is having conferences with someone outside the organisation, and that is a member of a gang. Who is this gang working for? Well, none other than Baron von Baron, and they're the ones that put the phone tap to not only find out what treasure Johnny is taking next, so that Baron von Baron can steal it, but he's also trying to get the barkeep to give him inside information, disable the security so that he can tunnel in and steal all the artifacts from the main room. And then we have some more members of the actual Adventurers Club, and these are all deep cut references to various themes across the last 4 decades. Over on the left we have Chief from Rock Raiders. He is here in what I imagine he would look like in a casual outfit. That was the fun challenge with a lot of these figures, was sort of turning them into, well, more casual versions. So I imagine him as some sort of military personnel, or at least highly recognised veteran or something. He's got dark tan trousers, a belt on his waist, as well as various medals of honour on his shirt, still sporting the teal arm, and has the Widow's Peak hairpiece as it sort of goes backwards. No, not that one, the balding hairpiece. Over in the middle we had Rodney Rathbone in a slightly more casual outfit. Just sort of imagine this as his shirt being untucked and the waistcoat being off. He's got his sinister facial expression, the bowler hat print, his peg leg, and then everything else as well. So just a slightly more casual version of him. And then over on the left we have an unnamed hero from Dino Island. Once again, just a slightly more casual version of him, without the neckerchief on, with less of the walkie-talkies and belts and things. But he's an unnamed character that is just hero, and he's got a similar facial expression, just with his shirt more open and his sleeves rolled up once again. Next up, we have two more members, and these are our last two for this set. We have on the left Brains from Power Miners, and then later Atlantis. He's in between expeditions here again, suspenders, undershirt, and a white shirt with some blue trousers. And I've given him the bold cap, the same as Shakespeare would have, with oculars, as if, because he's not going to wear his mining gear indoors, is he? And then on the right, we have Samantha Rhodes from in Atlantis. She's one of the, well, the female characters that was in that show. Just a simple figure again, just some more casual but sort of out there uniforms for if she was going adventuring. So really, we're just looking for that sort of like outside scientist kind of vibe, and that's what we're going for here. And that obviously finishes off our characters and our story. So basically, it acts as a nice club for all of these heroes and adventurers to come together, share their findings, and store all of their resources. While potentially a controversial topic to make for a building, I prefer this interior over a bog standard police station any day, and I really think it fits the architectural style much better than a police station did. This kind of ancient big building is really suited to the idea, and beyond anything, it's really just an opportunity to get all of those lovely references in the same place. It's nice to include and link it back to the haunted house and the idea that Baron Ron Baron still has a fortune in his sealing artifacts, and that Johnny's got his own private collection over here. And this was originally designed with the kind of comparison to the haunted house in mind. I really like the new designs personally, and it's a shame that a Charles Lightning figure with that level of detail on his torso, or the spying barkeep as he's been named, would never get remade. I'd love to see this part of this classic icons line get an adventurous treatment, and I would buy it day one without question. And I also love the meta commentary of putting Jake in here. Anyway, this is a build that not many people have seen on the channel, given that it was so long ago, and I was really hoping that I get to share it with you guys again. So let me know what you thought of all the details, or if you're interested in retro Lego, leave it down below. Of course, we'll be going back to our regularly scheduled program as of next week with a look at the castle before the next custom set. It's all coming up very soon. Don't worry, you Lego Zelda fans, I haven't forgotten you just yet. But I also absolutely love this. I'm a sucker for retro Lego history. So let me know your thoughts down below, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.